do with Twitch or Streamlabs. It was on the Twitter side of things. That was messing me up a little bit. I'll go back and I'll delete the previous 2 false starts. But a multi-user project. Now, setting up sort of a multi-user Unreal Engine project is pretty straightforward. It's not something I do sort of on a regular basis, but it is fairly straightforward if you're on a LAN. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, well, I don't know if I have to talk about the differences between LAN and WAN with you guys, right? So it's all good. So the big problem is that UE4's architecture supports this LAN connectivity for a multi-user sort of project experience, right? And although I suspect the Epic Games guys are working on this, they don't have support for WAN-based connection as of yet, right? It's not as simple as turning a switch on and saying, okay, now we support WAN. There's all kinds of security considerations and issues that probably need to be slogged through. Now, there is a workaround that I set up with my students, I guess last week, Friday, I guess it was, that I didn't stream. They were sort of my guinea pig test case scenario as I walk through a particular setup, which I'll kind of introduce you guys to today. There are some shortfalls to it that we ran into unexpectedly. Not unexpectedly, it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a live test with multiple people, in this case my students, because I knew that there would be some considerations outside simply the process of connecting it up that would rear its ugly head. And true to form, it did. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to use a third-party software and software that will connect up multiple computers on a WAN and fake that it's on the same local area network, right? And so the software we're going to use is something called Soft Ether. There are a few out there. Some of you guys might be using Hamachi to do sort of online gaming with your mates halfway around the world, right? It's very similar to that. I took a look at Hamachi on the kind of recommendation of one of my students who's a Blender guru, technical, really fantastic artist. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take a look at Hamachi. Unfortunately, Hamachi was quite simple. So I think for a lot of you guys, if you are kind of into a very easy VPN setup, Hamachi might be for you. But I wanted something that afforded me the opportunity to kind of dig into the guts of the networking connections in case I needed to do any kind of problem solving. So Soft Ether is a lot more complicated to use, but because there's a lot more exposed functionality wise, I decided to go with that. So we'll walk you through that. So my test case scenario last week worked well. We got a connection going. Now, joining the same Unreal Engine session, that was a whole other issue. We by latency, right? So there are going to be huge issues. And well, that's pretty much it. Your router setup, that's where this potentially falls apart, right? So you're hobbled by your internet connection, which we ran into. But I'll walk you through the process anyway, because it's worth testing out. This is for either you or your buddies who want to kind of work on an Unreal Engine project together, or if you're sort of a mid-sized little studio, like 10 people trying to put together a game project, this might be beneficial to you. So let's walk you guys through it. So what I've got here is I've already got an installation working on this machine here. So I thought I'd walk you through remote installation on this PC here. We'll be looking at this in terms of connecting up to, we'll be looking at this as a computer downstairs is also on the LAN, but let's see how far we get with this, right? Also, for your guys' reference, what I'll do is I'll show you the initial video that I used. And for those of you who want something a little bit more slow going with screenshots and things like that, I've set this up on the Discord server, Animechanics, that's related to this channel, right? So the link to join this Animechanics Discord server should be there on my Twitch page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click invite people, and let's edit invite link. And I'm going to create an invite link that never expires. And I will paste that into the chat associated with this particular stream. Screen captures of this particular tutorial. So I'll show you the tutorial I walked through. You can just go to the tutorial, skip the stream, right? But one of the things that I find that's quite helpful for me to broadcast a lot of tutorials that I'm going through as well is just the problem solving, right? Not everybody's setup is identical, right? So occasionally you guys will run into your own sets of issues. So we can talk a little bit about that. And I can also expand a bit on what the person leading the tutorial. Let me take a quick search. This guy should be in my history. Let's see if we can track it down. I forgot to add that link, so I will add. Forgot to add that link, so I will add that YouTube link now. So if you see the tutorial and the front splash screen is this one, you're on the right one. So it's the Unreal multi-user beta, how to configure for VPN. That's pretty much what we're gonna be doing here, right? So let me paste into the Twitch stream that. I'm also gonna add this to the Discord, which I forgot to do at the outset of this, right? So I'm probably gonna pop it at the top here. Let's, oops, let me edit this guy here, right? And oh, it's a singular, how am I gonna, of this image post here. So I'm gonna write, based on this tutorial walkthrough, right. And that way that link is there. Yeah, that's cool. I'm just finicky about formatting and how neat it looks. There's no like carriage return. Add a couple of spaces there to make it, just a touch more clarity to it, right? So you guys are welcome to pop on to the Discord server that's associated with this stream, and you can check it out. I haven't set that or those channels that are just read only. So until I have time to go back through that and restrict people's posts in certain areas, don't go posting. Well, I say that out loud now, and I know that's an open invitation to go and tromp around in there. But, you know, it's for you guys. The resource, the whole thing is that this is an educational resource associated with the Twitch stream. So it's for you guys to kind of take a look and explore. There you go. Okay, so that's that tutorial. I'm going to field test my Discord posts, right? And then we'll walk this through gently, right? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go and download the stuff that you need from SoftEther, right? So I don't know what the best thing to do is. Like, you know, let's just get this as large as possible, but leave it so that you guys know that we are on the VPN screen. This is on a separate machine, right? So for those of you guys who are curious, I'm using AnyDesk. And AnyDesk is free for non-commercial use. That's pretty good. It's not bad. I was using TeamViewer for years and years, right? I was kept mostly for my home network. I think I've got a lot of PCs at this point, right? So you build up over time, and there's lots of entries for various different computers. So TeamViewer thought I was using it for commercial purposes, which I wasn't. So I had to fill out a form, and scan it, and email it, and they were going to get back to me in 2 weeks. And I just thought, oh, that's not worth it, right? So I had to look around, and AnyDesk seems like, right? So I recommend this. It seems to be working okay. It's very similar to TeamViewer. A bit are uncomfortable, but I think it's just because I'm not used to it. I've been a TeamViewer user for decades. I have noticed that AnyDesk is a touch slower to connect than TeamViewer, just a touch, but there's very little difference in the latency of sort of remote pilot. So I'm gonna head on over to SoftEther. And the first thing you want to do when you head over to the SoftEther website, and I don't believe I've downloaded it onto the % sure, right? Now, this has got to be like the most user unfriendly homepage. Actually, this one's not too bad, but the actual homepage is, let's get to it actually. That way, I'm going to walk you through just so that you guys confront the exact, I can show you exactly what you'll confront as you follow through the steps. So this is the VPN project, the intimidating wall of text, right? And just pop over to downloads, right? You don't have to read any of that, right? So there's a certain level of complexity. You can use SoftEther for a billion different projects, right? We just want to connect up Unreal for sort of IT admin setups that you can do, the different network configuration. You don't need any of that, right? So all you want to do is pop over to here and straightforward download SoftEther VPN, right? So we got a few different things that we need to download here, right? So first off, we want to grab the SoftEther. Like there's so many choices here, right? It's confusing. Just grab the server, right? Just the SoftEther VPN server and select the platform. So we're going for Windows, right? And then Intel x86, x64, right? Now, here's another intimidating wall of text, right? So oftentimes when you go to sort of freeware sites or coding sites, you'll see various different builds, right? Some of you guys might be used to this already, right? So you just want to grab the most recent build, and thankfully they organize themselves quite well. You know, pop it on the top. The worst are sites, it's just so confusing trying to find the particular update that you need. And it takes over the top of the list. Anyway, it's Microsoft. So let's grab the SoftEther VPN server and VPN bridge. We won't be using the bridge functionality. I'll explain what that is once we get this sorted out. I first came across sort of bridging when I attempted to connect the Netgear Nighthawk Pro to my existing router, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that, what that is. Let's grab that server. And after we grab the latest build there, and that comes through. Does that come through? Yep. So then we come back up here, and the other thing we're going to do is grab the client. And same sort of thing. What platform? We want to go to Windows, right? And then we'll download the client. So there's a few of you out there might not know. You might have run across server client and things like that before, but might not really know kind of what that is or how that works. I don't know. It's really hard to gauge, hey guys, because we are in the Minecraft generation. You guys are the Minecraft generation and the Roblox generation. So you guys have an idea of what a client-server relationship is. But basically, the server is the main computer running everything, and the client are all the PCs. The clients are all the PCs that are dialing into the server. I'm sure quite a few of you out there are server admins as well. And then, of course, there's the Discord server, so you know all about that. But the reason the VPN server allows you to host a session, right? And the client allows you to dial in. So with my students on their group project, right? I said, look, if there's a group lead or somebody actually with the best bandwidth and the most powerful machine should run the server. And then everybody else, they don't have to install the server if they don't want to. They just need to install the client and then fire up the client and dial into the server. You'll see that once we set it up. In this case, we're setting up both, which you can do. What happens with the server running and the client running on the same machine, the client just dials into itself, right? It's fairly straightforward. So there was an intermediary step that the guys running the tutorial did, which I thought, and I think we'll do it here, is they just took the server and they just renamed it server. You don't have to do it, but it's just nicer to look at, right? And we have the client, right? And you can pop that into whatever. I'll do this all properly. Let's pop that into a folder now, right? So one of the things that I have set up is my Google Cloud Drive. You guys who follow my Twitch stream know I've got this set up, right? So I got a Google Cloud, and I'm running a utility called Ray Drive that mounts it as a drive up, as a folder structure on my PC. So in here, I have a global folder, and inside the global folder, that's where I stash my tools, right? I have a separate one for artist tools. So, you know, my Photoshop brushes, my ZBrush tools, etc. They're stashed in there. That's the one problem with using this WebDAV based little bit from the Google Drive. as opposed to actually downloading onto your PC. Okay, I want to kind of try to get quickly through this. So my Windows, there it is. Okay, so let's go to the downloads, and I'm going to go back over to my global folder. For now, I'm hoping this will just sort itself out once it... I need permissions. This is typically the case. Something that has never happened to me before. Never happened to me before. Will rear its ugly head in the middle of live sessions like this or tutorials. All right, never mind that. It's not letting me into that folder. So let's, you know, what I'll probably do is let's try and refresh RAID drive. Right. So I'm opening up the actual RAID drive utility. This is what it looks like. You can see I got my cloud drive and my OneDrive from the university mapped here. Just going to stop my cloud drive and restart it. There we go. And then we're going to restart it. And what this does again is it connects to my, streams it as a drive letter onto my PC. So let's see if that did the trick. I'm going to pop open. Oop, it's done it automatically for me. Let's go into that global folder. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to pop down in my tools folder, and I'm going to create and inside the VPN folder, I'm going to take my client and my server, pop them in there. Now the benefit of doing this as well is that now I have the client and the server available to me wherever I go, as long as I have access to my Google Drive, right? Okay, so I'm just double checking where we are with that. I'm just gonna leave. Let's get to it, right? So I'm just double checking server setup going. I'm gonna pop over here. And with this, I'm gonna, actually, you know what, I don't want any issues, a split, but I'll transfer this to my Google Cloud later. So I've just right-clicked on server and I'm going to run as administrator. And we should get a fairly bog standard software installation window, right? So it's going to, the Softether VPN is going to install, and we just want the VPN server, right? And then, you know, you agree to everything. And then next again. And I'm just following along on the Discord thread here. And yep, we want to hit the default directory, right? So that's fine. I generally like to put tools and utilities in a default directory. Generally, I'll have a second hard drive, right? And I'll reserve my C drive to have all my sort of base software installations. I used to install in a different drive, but I created a drive called My 3D Tools or whatever, and I install all that. But I found that generally, in terms of pipeline, you'd run into all kinds of little niggly issues. It's best to let software kind of install in default locations. And so I guess 10 years ago, I just made the decision my C drive's just going to be reserved for customized in my workspace. For me as an artist, I put on a separate drive. Whether it was partitioned or a separate physical drive, it didn't matter, right? So let's hit next. So it's going to go off. It's going to do its thing, right? Let's see what else we got here. Yeah. So it should pop it. There it goes. So it's popped it on the desktop form. Finish, right? So that should pop open the server window for us. All right. So here's what we got. So this is our server manager, right? This, I believe, I'm trying to think this through. So all we should do is need to set this up once, and then that's it, right? So here we've got an entry for the local host. I'm going to maximize this here because just makes it a touch easier to see. So there's my local host. The local host is the PC that the server software is installed on, right? And if there is no setting here, you can create a new setting. and you can add it in here. You can create any number of settings that you need, but we're okay at the moment. We're just going to select that local server. So again, that's the PC that the server software is installed on, right? Most software, when installed onto a PC, will recognize the PC it's on as localhost. That's sort of a default. This isn't a SoftEther VPN thing. It's I guess, a Microsoft Windows thing. So Windows calls itself localhost. And so if you've installed any other kind of 3D software before, then you know that localhost, especially for license managing and things like that, is the PC that you're on. Right? So we're going to select that and we're going to connect to it. Click connect. That's a double entry. There you go. All right. So password, right? Change administrator password for localhost, right? You guys can make up whatever you want. I have my password. Okay. Password has been changed. Okay, so we've got this easy setup. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set up remote access VPN server. So you can see by the diagram here, this is how it's going to work, right? This is where we set up our server software, and your friends, colleagues, other artists, their client located. Talk about the idea of bridging, right? So a bridge means you can take one entire network and connect it to another entire network. That's basically it. But it requires a slightly different setup to work. I mentioned briefly that I have a Netgear Nighthawk Pro, and I have that bridge to my main router. And so that uses a slightly different setup. Okay, so we don't need to activate that, but we do need to. It's one quick second here. Let me double check my set. Let's flip that on. And then VPN server that accepts connections from other sites, right? Just because I have it flicked on here in this window, but I can't remember why I had that set up. I believe it's just to help facilitate if any of you are kind of dialing in. It'll be able to connect up. Let's say you've got your own LAN sister or whatever, are working on an Unreal Engine project and you're joining my project, then the whole network comes along, you know? Okay, so let's set that up and then we'll click next on that one. The current settings of the VPN server or VPN bridge will be initialized. Do you really want to do this? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. VPN will be initialized. Okay, so here is the name for the VPN virtual hub. Now I'm going to rename this because there's something else later on in the installation process that defaults to the name VPN. It's where we set up our virtual network adapter. Will also be called VPN, and so we don't want to get confused. So I'm going to call this VPN AlKangArt Hub 2. Calling it Hub 2 because I've got Hub 1 on this machine that I'm talking to you right now. So I'm going to set up Hub 2, right? So here we go. Now we need to create a host name. So this will effectively be the kind of network web address that we can access, right? And I will call this AlKangArt, because I have an AlKangArt here. I don't want this naming to conflict with the softether.net that I have specified for this server here. So let me add the addendum AlKangArt, not equals, but dash main, right? Because my downstairs PC is the main. And then we will set that to the hostname. Set to above hostname. There you go. Dynamic DNS hostname has been changed to alkangart-main. Okay, that sounds good to me, right? So there's this wall of text. It's a massive amount of information, right? We can now leave. Yeah, there we go. The dynamic DNS hostname has been changed. Yeah, we've changed it. And we've clicked OK away from that. So we should get the dynamic DNS. Yes, we can exit out of here now. And we get this. So this allows for mobile connections, right? So we'll be able to connect up various devices like iPhones and things like that. We don't need to sort that out just yet. So I'm going to click OK. We can always reset those at a later time. Ah, yeah, the Azure cloud, right? That's kind of cool. Okay, so we're going to enable the VPN Azure, because what that does is it capitalizes on the Azure cloud technology, which reduces latency, is that much faster, right? So yes, we definitely want to have this active for our connection, right? But you can also see that the host name changes now. So it's alkangart-main.vpn. So we are an Azure.net name. Okay, so I'm going to click past that. So I'm going to the next slide. So here we've got to create users, right? So I'm going to create a new user, right? So the downstairs user, because I believe I created alkangart on here. I didn't really think this through when I was doing it yesterday. So let's create another alkangart. I'll do _main. I know I'm going to forget that. So let's pop in a password here. Okay, so I just paused there for a second because I thought, you know, I should put my son's name in here because we'll be connecting up. But I'll do that as a separate session with him later. Okay, I'm going to get him connected up into the network, and then we will go from there. So when we click OK, we should get a list of username, a new user here as well. So let's try that. I'm going to create a new user for this particular server. Right. And I'll give him a password. Right. So we got a password for him there as well. So we've got 2 users created here. I just realized, how am I gonna, let's see. So we're defining a user list for that server, which would be separate from the user list I created upstairs. So I think I'm gonna have to create me again, except for this server implementation. Yes, I will have to. Okay, so I'm gonna create me again. Shall I call this alkangart? I'll just put a number, alkangart2, right? And then again, my password. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. Cool. So we've got 3 users in our list, right? So you have to think ahead to the external connections that will be coming in. This is the one thing I hate about setting up these types of network utilities, is going through and setting up all the user IDs, especially when you're dealing with like 100+ people. It's a nightmare. Okay, so that should be it for that. We can exit from here, and let's see. Yeah, we can be able to close. That's cool. And then we're back to the VPN. Here's our hub. These are the ports we're listening through. That's cool. And just having a quick double check. All right. So with our hub selected, Now we can manage our virtual hub. Ooh. Oops. Skip through this. Manage the virtual hub. And there's this one. Enable secure net. I think I've moved manage users, manage screens, manage access lists. Ah, there we go. So this is something that's missing from, yeah, that's right. Oh, it's missing from the Discord thread. I gotta figure out how I can put it back in there. What had happened was I accidentally deleted this image where I clicked on this virtual NAT and virtual DHCP server secure NAT. We need to click that and turn that on. I'm glad I'm running through this. I'm finding image accidentally deleted. I think I'm gonna have to add a little bit more because even I missed it when I was going through it. So let's click on this guy. Ah, there we go. Back on track, right? So now we just need to enable secure NAT, right? And then this thing will pop up. Are you sure you want to enable secure NAT? Yes. Let's do it. Let's go. Now exit both windows. Now before I do that, I'm going to double check. So Soft Ether, are you sure you want to enable secure NAT? Yes. Let's exit this guy. And we can exit this guy. So that should be the server setup complete. Now, one of the things that I did, and I'll exit out of here as well. One of the things that I did, because I wasn't entirely sure, running the server manager, and I only did this because with older render farm technology like Mental Race Backburner machine, as well as any client license or client software running at the same time. So let's leave this running whilst we set up our client. This did not happen in the video tutorial. I'm just, and they just sort of jumped through it. So I'm just sort of assuming that they didn't mention this. So let's go through the client setup again. Same sort of thing. We're going to right click. And Windows is doing its thing here. There's got to be a better way to run as admin. Okay, so I want to run this as administrator. This should be a little bit more straightforward. It's a little bit less complicated than setting up the server. The client's usually straightforward. So those of you guys who are just installing the client, hoping to hook up to your group a little later, just go through, click through. Yes, you just want the server client, software only. Accept the local agreement. And next through this, install to the default location. And there we go. So that's going to install through. And then we will start the Soft Ether client. Oops, that's from my audio output window. So let's start the VPN client. Okay, there you go. So we've got a client connection there, right? Well, actually, the software framework anyway. So it's now adding for our, it's asking, sorry, for our VPN connection, right? So before you can create a VPN connection, you need a virtual network adapter, right? So this is cool. So all I've done was double click on Add VPN, and it's given me that warning, right? Oh, I got some images in here twice, man. Oh, I pasted the wrong image here, right? So what we want to do you want to create a virtual network adapter? Yes, we do, right? So here is what I was telling you about earlier. Now we've got that VPN naming again, but this one's the network adapter, right? So we want to call this VPN, maybe VPN adapter. Call it that. That's fine, good enough, right? The name of virtual network, call it VPN then. So that's good. I remember running into this last week as well. So it's good that we renamed our VPN hub because the network adapter doesn't give us that choice, right? So that's fine. You can call, and then it's creating that virtual network adapter for us, right? There we go. Now we can add, now we can see that the network adapter is installed here. The client window is quite cool, right? It shows you the adapters that you have available, and then we can add our own VPN connection, right? So, here, let me think about this now, because what I want to do is to create a connection just to test it out, right? Let's do that. Or do I want... Yeah, let's, how about we do this? I'm pausing now because now is the opportunity for us to connect up a remote PC through here to see where we're at. Okay, so yes, we're at the point where we need to put in a server address. To specify the host name. Okay, yeah, let's try that. Yeah, let's try it. Okay, so this will be my downstairs machine will be my server, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close this up. This is experimentation time now. So I'm going to be kind of So I'm going to go ahead and close this up. This is experimentation time now. So I'm going to be kind of hunting and pecking through this and trying to get this to. Hopefully it will be fairly straightforward. Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay. My window is there. It's hard because I use the same gray background for everything. Okay. So here we've got our server manager, right? And we want to connect to this guy. And manage that virtual hub. We've done all that. That's cool. So there's our local server, local host. That's running. All right, there we go. So we want to get this virtual hub. Let me just double check the. Need to head over to where we set up our local host. Just want to make sure I'm getting this. There we go. DNS function, soft ether, yeah. And we did that one, and we accessed the Azure Net address. So that's what I'm looking for. So if I'm in the server manager here, right, and I've gotten this, let's edit the settings, find out what's going on here. Localhost, yeah. No, that's fine. Let's cancel out of that. We're connecting to this virtual hub, right? So let's see what the properties give us. So we get the password for it, and it's got the hub name. Well, let me try this, right? So I'm going to come over to my workstation here, right? So let's try this. I'm going to track down my network client connection here. So I'm actually right now tracking down the executable inside my start menu icons, and I'm just going to send it my desktop. I'd like to have the VPN top. So that's what I'm currently doing. This guy here, right? So I want to take this and send it to the desktop. I think I'll probably do this for both. Why not? I'll put the server on one screen and the client on another. Ugh. I paused there when I was debating whether or not to continue on with the tutorial and where I'm going to be running most of my primary Unreal instances, and to be the server, right? So I'm going to send this guy to the desktop as well. There's a lot of sort of pre-planning of this kind of thing that you need to do, and part of the reason why I'm very specific about how I want to set things up is because I have been in production and I've been on pipelines before, and I know that you need to think these things through in terms of how you're going to be working. Now you can't account for everything, but what helps is that experience of going through a project. So if you don't get the setup perfect, don't worry about it. Just go with what you know, and you learn from every project, right? What's the optimal setup, and et cetera, et cetera. Client connect. I've got my 40 client VPN connector here for the uni. I'm going to put the soft ether. I'll probably just call it VPN client. VPN client. Ooh, not letting me rename it. Can't find it. Let's try launching this guy. I gotta always stop when I do my right click while Windows goes and does its thing before it'll give me my right click drop down menu functionality. Oh my God, that's crazy. What is it doing? I have no idea. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna just deleting one of the other icons here. I'm gonna double click this and see what we've got going on. Hopefully it launches. Okay. Oh, there we go. So there we go. We've got our VPN, Alkang Art connection there, and that's offline. Now this connection, I should probably rename, because this particular connection refers to the computer I want that, right? So let's add a VPN connection here. So we're going to put in a new VPN connection. And for this one, I need the name of this one here. It's so small. Okay, so VPN-alkangart-hub2. That's the hub name, but let's try it. VPN-alkangart hub2, right? Okay, so here we're back on to the regular tutorial inside the Discord server, where we need to specify for our client software what our server address is, right? And we need to specify the host name. So downstairs is going to be the host. Downstairs is going to be the host. So we need to figure out what this host name is, right? So I want to try to find it inside my server manager, and that's just really strange that I can't find the server name here. It's like, here's what I'm going to have to do. It's a bit strange. Is I'm going to have to go into the client software. And not that one. But that's not there as well. Okay, I need to track this down. It's super, super important. I need to find a way. I'm going to move the client and the server down here so it's near my AnyDesk. I need to find a way of tracking down that address after all that trouble going through all of that, right? Manage virtual hub, right? That's cool. We went through here. We've enabled our secure net. That's fine. Manage users, manage groups, virtual hub properties, maybe. Let's take a look at that. Virtual hub properties, right? So there it is. No, that's the virtual hub name. We need the address, guys. Where is the address? Source IP address, virtual hub admin option. No, it's none of that. Manage sessions. Let's take a look inside there. Okay, so we've got that secure net on. That's cool. Unless the info is down here. Last login. I've just double clicked on the VPN hub name. Oh, it's taking me to the same. Manage groups. Virtual hub properties. We take a look at that. View server status. Let's take a look. Tell me you've got the server address down here. I wasn't expecting this, guys. If I was expecting this, I would have written down the server name. So I believe it was alkangart_main. That's really kind of frustrating for me. Local storage settings. The specific reason why I wanted to get soft ether is the specific reason why I'm having difficulty. There's too much information. But I know that if I work through this and get familiar with all of the dials and switches, eventually I'll be able to navigate around here fairly intuitively. But until that time, I'm going to have to sort of struggle through this. Let's check those properties. We did that. Virtual admin. All right. So I'm going to try and see if we can locate this, right? So I believe it was alkangart, and I think it was underscore main dot. And I believe it was Azure Cloud. Just going to double check here. Dot. Dot VPNazure.net. Dot VPNazure.net. Now, if that's right, it should automatically, after a little bit of time, it should be able to pick up the virtual hubs that I have available to me. But only if I got that host name correct. It's a bit crazy, eh? I thought there were, on the server manager, it should just bring up the host name. It doesn't make sense to me that it would be this convoluted. It's got to be in here somewhere. I'm going to take another quick peek in here, and let's close this down. I'm going to open up that server again. And then let's grab this guy. Right. So we're connecting in here. So it's not in there, but what if we grab this? I know we did this, so I'm going to take another look. Edit setting. Local host. Yeah, it's not. Did I miss a step? maybe I missed a step in terms of, let's take another look, right? So in the VPN connection portion of it, when we specified our softether.net dynamic DNS function set as above hostname, right? So we need a dynamic DNS function. So let me come in here, right? Let's connect to this guy, right? So let's look for dynamic DNS setting. There we go. Aha, there it is. Dynamic DNS function, alkang art dash main. Alkang art. That'll be it. Alkang art dash main. I believe it's no caps. Yeah, it's no caps, right? Okay. This is how important naming conventions are. I should have sat down and pre-thought out some naming conventions, but let's go for it, right? Okay, and check it out. Finds the hub straight away. That's our hub. We are back in business to a certain degree. And now I have to constantly remind myself that this AnyDesk window is going to be my server. So let's go in and shut down those different, well, you know what? I'm going to screen grab this because we may need this at a later date, right? So it's good that I kind of have, let me pop this over. So let's do a quick screenshot of this. I think that's kind of key. I don't know if it's going to use my local screenshot, I bet. Yes, it is. That's cool though, because I did all my screen captures for the Discord server of this yesterday. So this should save directly to where I need it to save. The resolution's awful, but that's okay. If I draw arrow boxes, it should be sort of self-explanatory, right? Okay. So I'm just labeling this is our server name. So I'm just doing a screenshot of this here and labeling it. I'm going to save this off, and I will also add this to the Discord server text chat, right? So I'll scroll down to the bottom so you guys will have it there as a reference. I wonder if I can add it in here into one of these text channels. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can add it. No, it won't let me. That's the one thing that I'm not too keen on with Discord, is it doesn't really have a nice ability to sort of shuffle posts around and that kind of a thing. Oh well, that's all right. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can add a photo to a previous text post, but it's not letting me. I'll just stick it down in the bottom. You guys who have followed along in the Twitch know that that's where it is. In case you have difficulty in tracking down the server name, instead of localhost. No, actually, I'll just put that. There we go. So our notes here for the problem we ran into, I've added to the Discord server, so that should be there as well. Okay, cool. So with that, I'm just going to exit out of this and exit out of that, right? So we've got that server set up. Let's pick up the tutorial where I left off, right? So in the stream, we are at the image where we set up our host name, and it picked up the hub name, which is cool, right? And then after that, we're going through our client adapter VPN 2. All we need to do is enter in our username. So down in here as well, just want to make sure. This is really interesting for me. I think I'm going to have to go back and really sort of think through how I'm going to set up the usernames and connections. I wasn't expecting to suddenly have two different sets of usernames, but that makes sense because I got two different servers going. So that's kind of, I'm going to have to go and think about that a little bit. So let's go to Manage Users and Alkang Art 2, right? So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to come back up into here, and my username is Alkangart2, and then my password. All right. So with this as well, this is the bit that I almost forgot yesterday. So there are sometimes server issues. Now, the original tutorial giver on the YouTube link said that they ran into certain issues when they were doing advanced testing. So I'm just following this verbatim and trusting that those guys ran into issues that I don't want to run into. So one of them is to go into advanced settings, right? And what we want to do is no adjustments of routing table. I don't really know what that means. I'm not a network admin kind of guy. So I'm just going to trust that we need to have that set up. It apparently has something to do with the way Windows sort of adjusts the routing table, right? So we want to make sure that Windows doesn't do that because apparently it interferes with what SoftEther is trying to do. And then on some servers, we may need to activate that no adjustments of routing table. That's fine. And then we can click OK. And that should be good. And then once we do that, we have our Hub 2 connection there. So that's cool. So I just have to remind myself. Well, I don't have to remind myself because they're right here. Alkang Art main. So Alkang Art, that is when this server is running. But we are currently offline, right? So all we need to do is, as a user or client, we should be able to right click and then connect. So that is this computer connecting to my PC downstairs. And we are connected. So here, my upstairs computer is connected to the one downstairs. That's cool. I wonder if I can zoom my window in here. Can we zoom in? AnyDesk. Can we zoom in? Let's try the... display settings. Let's try original. There we go. That's cool. I like that. Although, how do we stop from... oh, it's following the mouse cursor. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to come over to here. It's really hypersensitive though. But now that we've got the username, I don't need the user window anymore. And the manage users window, I can close that off. And so this is my local host. I believe I can exit that because I believe the server's still running and we still have a connection. So we're still good. Okay, so the connect is there. And oh, we have a couple of windows that didn't show up. So when I connect to my user client, I should have connecting to VPN server progress. And once it's connected, I should have had the VPN connection is established. Your assigned IP address is this. So I don't think I saw that window pop up. But shall we just soldier through? Because it looks like we are successfully connected, right? Right. Now, to make the next sort of phase of this work, I'm going to need to make sure that we are accessing the same Unreal Engine project, right? So this only works if you guys are working off an identical instance of Unreal Engine, right? So I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to come over here. Let's pop open again where I've got my cloud drive. Whoa, this is too crazy. Let me try and set the screen to auto adapt resolution. No. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I don't know what that's doing to my resolution downstairs. Let's go stretch. Let's try that. I want to turn off the auto adapt. Let's go back to the original. How do I turn off the auto adapt resolution thing? Oh no, I hope that didn't screw up my resolution downstairs. How do you turn this off? Let's go full screen mode for a sec. Oh no. I bet you this mucked up my resolution downstairs. I'll bet you anything. Okay, so now let's, there we go. So let's exit out of full screen. Go to the original. Where is, there you go. No. Did it screw up my, it did screw up my resolution downstairs. Oh man, that really stinks. Did not want to do that. So I'm going to pop back over here. I don't want to auto adapt the resolution. I want you back to where you belong, man. Oh, my icons are back. Thank God. Thank God. Panic over. Oh my God. All right. So that's cool. All right. So now I just want to be able to, I don't think I'll be able to do the original resolution, but let's try stretch. What's the difference between shrink and stretch? That's cool. I like that better. All right, so we'll keep it there. So here I am inside my mapped cloud drive, my Google Drive, right? And we're going to come in here and into the games folder. Oops, not the film folder. My game projects folder. I'm going to set up a test case scenario inside of here. So let's, I'm going to right click in here and create a new folder called projects. This is what I like about the Ray Drive, guys, is that I'm actively interacting with the Google Cloud Drive, but it's operating via this Windows Explorer skin, so to speak. Okay, so in here, I'm going to create an area for, I used to call this playground, but let's call it tests. Nice and simple. I put an underscore there to keep it up top. Now, the beauty of that is I'm going to come back to my main PC here, hit Windows E, and I'm going to head down to my weapon, games, projects. There it is, right? So I've got the same folder on both PCs. The one downstairs has it, and the one up here has it. Okay, so with that set up, I'm going to, let's get rid of this guy and pop that over there for a second. Let's run an instance of Unreal. All right, so while Unreal is firing up, I'm just going to see what's happening in the chat window. Okay, so 11:14. Okay, so I just need to duck out now. Looks like I got a couple of emergencies happening, but it's kind of cool. We're at the stage where I'm launching Unreal Engine here, and then we're gonna set. There's a nice natural break. When I come back, we'll set up Unreal Engine, and then we'll get the connection going and see how it works for us. So I will pop back on later on this afternoon.